In 2021, a game called Battlefield 2042 was released, to which the entire world said, wow, this game really sucks. Every couple of years, one of these unfinished games comes from a huge franchise, and everyone spends the next 2 months talking about it just to forget immediately after. I too was one of these people who made a video about the game when it launched, and I think I was a lot more charitable than most other people. Now when I look back though, I think my positivity was more out of desperation for quality Battlefield content more than it was out of the actual quality for the game. You gotta keep in mind that the last truly great Battlefield game came out in like 2016, which was like 20 years ago or something, so I was looking for anyone who could give me my Battlefield fix. Unfortunately though, they never actually made Battlefield 2042 good. Or at least I think they never did. Not gonna lie, I don't really care to reinstall it, and I haven't played it since launch. I still sometimes look at the comments under 2042's Steam community posts and react to people speaking positively about the game with clown emojis, so I think I know what I'm talking about. A year later, Modern Warfare 2 released with the return of their Ground War mode, which, if you didn't know, is basically Call of Duty Battlefield. Ground War is fine, but overall, I don't think the Call of Duty formula translates very well into the Battlefield formula, so I never sunk much time into it. Other than that, my Battlefield itch remained unscratched by any game for a while, until I slowly forgot I had the itch entirely. Until BAM! One day I discovered this small little indie game called Battlebit, and suddenly I remembered why I love these games. Now, this was actually a couple months before the game released. You see, at the time, I was just playing the closed beta, which was pretty much identical to the full release, except there wasn't any helicopters. It didn't take me long to realize what I was dealing with. This wasn't just a Battlefield clone, this was the future of Battlefield. This shit is nuts, and even crazier, it was only made by 3 people. This right here, this is true innovation. I'm just gonna come out and say this right now. Battlebit, from a purely gameplay standpoint, is the best Battlefield game, boasting up to 127 versus 127 player matches. Battlebit is better than Battlefield 3, better than Battlefield 4, and even better than Battlefield 1. Battlebit has the best elements of these games, and more. Not only did the developers know how to design a Battlefield game, but they also added tons of new features that feel like such natural extensions of the series that I'm surprised DICE never thought of them in their heyday. Now I know what you're thinking. This game came out a while ago, what took you so long to make a video? Well, I was gonna make a video, but then something came up.
Fire behind me.
Yeah, fuck you.
Point is, I was there for all of launch week, and it was hella fun. I just have to marvel at how good the state of this game was on release too. I know they had like a century of closed beta tests to ensure that launch went well, but really all I had was a few hit reg atrocities, and that's it. What is this hit reg? What is the hit reg? What is the hit reg? What? What really hooked me about this game, and what I think will hook you too, was the voice chat. As longtime viewers of the official Ubercharged channel know, I am an absolute sucker for VoIP in video games, and I think adding voice chat systems to games is just like using a cheat code to generate free fun. Finally, you can now plan elaborate plays and formulate strategies with randoms. It really helps that the Battlebit community is so highly skilled and players take the game so seriously.
Yo guys, watch this jump I'm about to make.
Nah, I'm just kidding. Voice chat is mostly used to harass their teammates and beg and whine to be revived. When you hop in a random vehicle at the beginning of the game, there's like an equal chance for the car being full of silent people, racist people, or DJ Khaled fans.
I call it a chandelier.
I like the DJ Khaled fans the most. I am serious about the cheat code for free fun though. Even if I'm having an awful game where I'm getting completely waffle stomped, I can still at least have a talk with my teammates.
Hey, what's the do with the Scottish accent?
Hey, it's me!
It's you. Can you say, they're gonna have to glue you back together in hell? Can you say that?
They're gonna have to glue you back together, mate!
Voice chat can make a terrible game into a fun game, and here voice chat has turned a good game into a great game. Talking to your teammates isn't the limit though. In a brilliant move, VoIP extends to downed enemies, leading to funny moments like this.
He's in here, below you. He's dragging me.
You're
He's dragging
coming
me
with me.
away. He's putting me in timeout.
You're coming with me. Oh god, in front of me.
Kill that bitch. Oh, alright. Shoot him! Shoot him! No, he's on the
what
ground!
now,
Shoot
Riz?
the dude!
Alright, voice chat is well and cool, but that wouldn't make this the best Battlefield game alone. Battlebit has the full package, so let's talk about class dynamics. One of the truly confusing choices of Battlefield 2042 is the removal of the class system and subsequent replacement by the specialist system. Battlebit successfully returns to the old system and even improves on it. There are basically 5, technically 6 classes in Battlebit, and we'll go over all of them now. The first is Assault, which, unlike Battlefield 3 and 4, does not represent the medic character. Assault is kind of the default jack-of-all-trades class. He can do a little bit of healing, a little bit of destroying, a little bit of resupplying, and he even has a cool placeable climbing rope. He also boasts a bonus 25% reload speed, 20% ADS speed, and 25% weapon switch speed, which gives him just a bit of an edge in face-to-face combat. The second class is the Medic, who, if you could guess, represents the medic role. Being healed by a medic or interacting with his placeable health boxes is the only way to currently regain lost health in Battlebit. The health system in Battlebit is slightly more complicated than in your traditional Battlefield game. If you get shot once or twice, it'll remove some health, but generally you should be fine. If you're shot beyond a certain damage threshold, it'll cause you to start bleeding, which will force you to use bandages to stop it. Even if you stop the bleeding, you'll only regenerate about 25% of your health bar. Bandages can also be used to revive down teammates, but most classes only get a few bandages when they spawn in, meaning most players will deliberately have to choose between saving their teammates or potentially not being able to save themselves later on. Medic, however, does not have this problem. He starts with a whopping 20 bandages and also gets significantly faster revive time, teammate bandage time, and self-bandage time. His health box can also be infinitely used to fill any player's health to 100%, including his own, which all other classes currently lack. There's a reason Medic is by far my most played class, and it's partly because of how busted it is to be able to heal yourself, but also because of the insane amount of XP you get from healing people. I'm serious, if you want to rank up and unlock new weapons at a supersonic pace, just play Medic and heal everyone. If you're only healing yourself, you're kneecapping your full potential. As a Medic player, this is what your revived to revived ratio should look like. Alright, the third class is Engineer. Engineer is the same as always. He's best for destroying things thanks to his rocket launcher. He's specifically really good on maps with lots of buildings. The rocket launcher can basically delete enemy cover, and if that doesn't kill them, the volley of machine gun fire you send their way immediately after will. The destruction in Battlebit is far beyond what we've seen in any other Battlefield game, even Bad Company, so controlled tactical explosions are the name of the game when it comes to catching your enemy off guard. This applies to any class with any kind of explosives, but playing Battlebit like it's 6 Siege is an incredibly goated strategy. As always, it's a lot easier to kill an enemy if he didn't even know you were there, so going in through a corner that the other team thought they already checked is always bound to get you a kill. Vehicles aren't unquestionably strong in Battlebit, but it's still always worth bringing an Engineer player just in case. Other classes are given small explosives like C4, which in certain situations can be enough to blow up tanks, but usually if the driver is even slightly competent, you're going to require an Engineer player to take it down. Alright, so this is the fourth class, Support. Now at first, I thought Support was the weakest class in the game with the least applicable situations. His role is to resupply the team's ammo and gadgets with his resupply box. This is best for Engineer players who run out of rockets fast, but less important for everyone else. He also makes more use of the game's armor system. Armor is one of the new additions made by Battlebit, and I absolutely love it. In Battlefield 5, they added the ability to customize your clothes, which was really cool, and you can still do that in Battlebit, but now you can also change your armor carrying capacity, and that actually affects the gameplay. Most classes have a variety of armor pieces they get to choose from. Helmets can be worn, which lets you absorb 1 or 2 headshots at the cost of your aimed out sight speed. Body armor can be added or removed to increase health at the cost of movement speed, and backpacks can be equipped, which increase your amount of gadgets or ammo at the cost of some specific downside that's listed. The reason Support is different than any other class in this regard is the fact that he gets access to the super heavy exo armor. Wearing exo armor makes you the slowest class in the game, while also making you the tankiest. If a Support player and an Assault player both see each other and start shooting at the exact same time, the Support player will always come out on top because of this armor. Combined with being the only class capable of using high-capacity LMGs, Support is given an ungodly amount of defensive power. So, why did I think he was bad? Well, trying to play Support like you play every other class in this game doesn't work super great. He's often caught out in the open or falls behind when new ground is being rapidly gained or lost. The extra armor just usually is not enough to save you if you get caught with your metaphorical pants down. Or literal pants down.
What is that?
What?
What's that noise?
Nothing.
But it all started to click when I saw Support more like the Heavy in TF2. You see, Support is best played as the last line of defense. You're put to best use perched right up behind the front line, resupplying teammates, building cover, and really making that 100-round magazine count. It's your job to make sure ground is not lost, it's everyone else's job to make sure ground is gained. Simply find a chaotic looking choke point and post up on your belly. And now look, they're the ones getting caught out in the open. Support can also build the large HESCO wall. That's right, building and destroying are both in Battlebit. To be fair, Battlefield 5 did have some building, but really only in predetermined locations. In Battlebit, you can place cover anywhere you want to. Only support can place large HESCO walls, but every other class in the game can still make sandbag walls, small HESCO walls, and rebar barricades. I don't see enough people playing support, which sucks, because I think he's just as viable as every other class, and shit, sometimes even more so. Alright, so Recon is the 5th class, and he's the one you play if you smell bad. Just kidding, of course. Kind of. Recon is the sniper class in Battlebit. He specializes in shooting people at long ranges and not much else. He has some cool gadgets like that climbing rope and also a very funny drone.
Autobots, roll out.
I mean, personally, I'm not much of a fan of Recon, but I guess I also am a little bit biased. I mean, if you ask me, laying on your belly and shooting people from far away is a little less interesting than getting up close. Another reason why Recon is my least played class is that other classes are just more than capable at a distance. Even your stock standard assault rifle is highly effective at long range. It's only with the super long ranges when Recon really becomes necessary, and at that point I find it even less engaging. It's actually kind of funny. A lot of the shots I was landing with Medic would have only been possible while playing as Sniper in a previous Battlefield game. More on why that is later though. First, we still have to get to the last class. The 6th and final class of Battlebit is the Squad Leader, whose place in the game's current design remains unclear. Only one person in your squad can have the Squad Leader class. He behaves almost the same as Assault in his weapons and gadgets. He even has that funny little drone. His main ability isn't even in the game currently though, where he calls it an airstrike. Other than that, the only thing that separates him from Assault is the fact that he can place down squad redeploy beacons, which admittedly is really cool. This is reminiscent of the Commander in Battlefield 2, aka the most boring fucking thing you could do in that game. I definitely like this better than Battlefield 2 though, because you actually get to play the game. That said, it would be nice to see the options expanded for him. I think there's a lot of potential for the Squad Leader, and I'm sure they'll more thoroughly capitalize on it in the future. Alright, so those are the classes, but there's still more to talk about when it comes to playing infantry, specifically the gunplay, which is superb. The sounds are satisfying and crunchy and change depending on the acoustics of your environment. The time to kill is just at that sweet spot where minor mistakes can be reverted with quick reflexes, but chiefly, that recoil, man. One of the warts of DICE, even when they were at their best, was their attachment to random bullet spread. Even in their best games, random bullet spread held back the gunplay, and in their worst games, the problem was downright catastrophic. Battlebit, on the other hand, is almost entirely recoil-based, meaning you actually get to choose where you want your gun to shoot. The ammo system in Battlebit is also far different than in most Battlefield games, being more akin to something like Escape from Tarkov. Essentially, instead of having a reserve of ammo that the main clip feeds off of like in most shooters, you're given a collection of clips that can be changed by reloading. Like if you fire half of your magazine then reload, you'll still have half an empty magazine, and if you reload again and put it back in your gun, you'll still only have half the clip. This is of course unless you have like, I don't know, 2 half-empty magazines or a collection of magazines with differing levels of emptiness in which you can combine them together to make a full magazine, which takes time. You also have the choice between a quick reload or a slow reload. A slow reload will eject the current magazine, which will then be placed in your inventory. A quick reload is slightly faster and will eject the magazine straight onto the floor before inserting a new one. This can come in handy when you're in a tense situation, as reloads take a while in this game. The only problem is you can't get new magazines once you spawn in, unless you pick up the ones you dropped on the floor when you reloaded, but let's just keep that between us. For this reason, it's better to have like, I don't know, 4 empty mags and 1 full mag than it is to just have 1 full mag, because the 4 empty mags can be refilled by a resupply box, while if you only have 1 full mag, you won't be able to get any more ammo until you respawn. You see how complicated this gets when you switch off of the standard system? It took me a while to understand why ammo works the way it does, as it was hard for me to see the positives of using this method. I mean, usually when you see it done this way, it's to add like some realism or add a degree of inventory management, but I don't see it done this way here. No. Battlebit uses this system because it's trying to limit the defensive options of infantry and to reinforce the importance of team play. Alright, so using anything less than heavy armor makes you pretty damn fast in Battlebit, and you can clamber up walls and vault over obstacles with remarkable speed. This means that infantry, even at its slowest, has a high degree of mobility, even for a Battlefield game. This ammo system is a compromise for giving infantry such high mobility. What players gain in the speed they're able to get to objectives, they partially lose by the extra preparation time. I mean, sure, the time it takes to get where you want to go is short, but the time it takes to get ready to do what you want to do is longer. The other clear reason I see is to disempower individuals and strengthen groups. Reloads in this game already take quite a while, plus the magazine combining means there's a lot of time where you're more vulnerable than a clueless celebrity on Cameo.
ate a vegan sausage roll. Epic dub.
Obviously, the easiest way to mitigate this vulnerability is to stick close to your teammates so they can protect you while you reload.
Look how they mess with my boy.
We shall never surrender! Going back to mobility for a second, I think people are kind of sleeping on what's possible here. I mean, there's the obvious lean spamming and crouch spamming that everyone already does, but there are a lot more sneaky tactics that I see used a lot more rarely. Probably my favorite is pretending to be dead. If you go prone and look straight down, a lot of people just seem to glance right over you. There's just so much going on that I think a lot of people don't even check, I guess. It's also really funny when you catch somebody else trying to do it. Hey, what's up? Bro, really thought he was sneaky.
He is sneaky. He was sneaky.
Alright, but that's enough about the lame infantry. Let's talk about vehicles. First off, there is no skid loader. Gonna have to dock a few points for that. Honestly, there is a little bit of a lack of vehicle variety. And I know, early access, in a year all these problems will be solved, but still. First off, you have the quad bike, which is exclusively a transport vehicle, and if you try to use it in any other way, you will die instantly. Second, you have the Humvees and Gas Tigers, all of which come in varying degrees of combat effectiveness. Some of them have no guns, some of them have a gun, but if you try to use it, you'll get headshot immediately, and others have a gun that can be controlled without sticking your head out, but isn't that powerful. And then you have the boats, which are kind of garbage. Of the two, only one of them has any weapons, and it suffers from a lack of health and doesn't find much applicability due to poor integration with the map design. Then you got the big guys, the tanks. First you got the Abrams, very powerful at range, has a high explosive shell with a machine gun to switch to while it's reloading. You can even have another gun on it if somebody else gets in the gunner seat of the tank. Very effective against enemy vehicles, but it is slow and can be quickly destroyed if caught by surprise. Then you got the APC, still powerful at range, but has more close quarters potential. It also has a semi-automatic explosive shell, but no fallback weapon. There is no gunner seat on the APC, but there's enough passenger seats that you'll never see your tank at full capacity. Armor is slightly weaker, but the APC has much greater speed. Due to this speed, it has a much better time retreating from bad situations compared to the Abrams. The APC's semi-automatic gun and speed makes it more effective against infantry, but its low clip size and durability makes it weaker against vehicles. Overall, I tend to choose the APC over the Abrams because I prefer the speed, but in terms of balance, I think they're about equal. Now we've got the flying vehicles. So far, only helicopters, but someday I'm sure we'll have jets. First, there's the transport helicopter, which comes with 2 gunner seats and a whopping 8 passenger seats. The transport heli is really cool because you can actually get a really decent amount of points just by flying people from HQ and to the objective. It makes sense because being able to fly a whole squad wherever they want to go and just dropping them off is kind of overpowered. I also think the guns of the transport heli could use a buff. In certain situations, I've been able to get a handful of kills with them, but those situations almost always end with me dying a horrible death. They're just too inaccurate, do too little damage, and leave the gunner way too exposed. There also aren't any parachutes in Battlebit, unlike every other Battlefield game that's released in the last decade. Getting out of a helicopter means descending a long rappel rope, which just looks badass. The transport heli is also pretty damn tanky. I've never been one that just exploded in midair. Far more likely is that some dickhead in the tank will shoot out your tail rotor from another continent.
Right, left side! Go!
Oh,
what the fuck?
Jump,
hey Q. Well, it's been nice knowing you.
Then you got the Little Bird. There's a couple forms this helicopter can come in. Some have some passenger seats and some don't. The Little Bird is much quicker and easier on the controls than the transport heli, but it pays for that by being a lot more flimsy and leaving the pilot more exposed. The guns on the Little Bird are also just completely busted to make up for the fact that it's so hard to land a shot. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, do the same with the transport heli, please. It should also be noted that when it comes to the helicopter controls, they aren't exactly intuitive, and I ended up changing them quite a bit to work better for me. And even then, it isn't exactly easy. The helicopters were a great addition to Battlebit. Playing the game now, I can't believe how empty the skies were back then. In fact, I think all the vehicles were good additions to the game, even though I'm not much of a vehicle user. When it comes to me, I feel like the infantry gameplay is the bread and butter of Battlefield games, yet Conquest full vehicles is still my favorite mode. This is just because I think that the vehicles are really well balanced and they complement the on-foot gameplay very well. You've probably noticed how there isn't any third-person camera for the vehicles, which is significant because that's different from most Battlefield games. This gives vehicle players less awareness than the Crypto Bro on Twitter, and was an intentional design choice. Vehicles are best taken on utilizing flank routes and getting somewhere the tank driver doesn't expect, and a third-person POV could lead to misleading sightlines. Tanks also aren't locked to whatever team's point they spawned on. If you're just strolling around and come across an empty enemy tank, there's nothing stopping you from taking it.
What the?
And if that's too much for you and you're just too impatient to wait for one in the HQ, you can always just steal one from your own teammates.
Yo, does this bitch have a repair station anywhere? Like, what the fuck? Where the
Hold
fuck
F
is
to
it?
repair.
Where's the repair?
You done got brain
Yeah,
damage. Alright guys, let's talk about the graphics.
The graphics.
There's really no way around it. There's one thing that everyone thinks this game is when they first see it.
No, I don't play Pizzeria, bro.
He thinks you're playing Roblox, bro?
He thinks I'm playing Roblox.
The thing about the graphics is, oh shit, this is Roblox footage. The thing about the graphics is they might be a little bit basic, but they get the job done. This game was made by 3 people, and with nothing but a box of scraps and a shoelace, and considering how fun it is, it seems a little bit greedy to ask for it to also look good. Plus, the low poly visuals ironically help destruction look better, and mask the barren nature of most interiors. Let's talk about HUD a little bit. There's no minimap in this game, which more people got upset about than I expected. In previous Battlefield games, the minimap was included to aid with player detection. The idea was that there was just so many sightlines and hazards to keep track of that the minimap would remove some of the guesswork when trying to traverse safely. Now, I don't know if gamers in the early 2010s had malformed, posterior parietal cortexes, but I really think knowing where you're safe and where you aren't is just up to good game sense. Even in the older Battlefield games, I never really used the minimap too much because 1, it was out of the way and shifting my attention to it get me killed, and 2, my own intuition felt more reliable than a little radar. Basically, I'm using the skill issue argument, so if you disagree with me, it's just because you're bad at the game. Of course, the price you pay for no radar is that everything is an icon now. Get ready to have hundreds of blue dots on your screen because for some reason, the game thinks you need to know the exact location of Joe Schmo who's 20 miles away from you. What would be really nice is if they just added like a slider in the settings that set your teammates' icon renders. It seems easy enough to add, so you know, hopefully they will. Maps. I want to talk about maps now. I said at the beginning of this video that Battlebit supports 127 vs 127 player matches, but it also supports 64 vs 64 and 32 vs 32. Personally, I almost always play 127 vs 127. The sheer gall of those numbers isn't anything to scoff at. The truth is, 64 vs 64 is probably the most balanced mode from an objective point of view, but 127 vs 127 will always be my go-to mode, just for the sheer chaos it provides. So you're probably wondering, how did 3 people make enough maps for 3 wildly different player counts? It's simple. I don't think they did. As far as I can tell, they just plugged higher player counts into maps made for lower player counts, just to see if it played okay. If it didn't, it was brought back down to the lower player count servers, and if it did, it was added to the map pool of the high player count servers. I say this because it's very possible that my least favorite maps play much better on lower player count servers, and my opinion is mostly based on 127 vs 127 servers. There are some really good maps in this game, as well as some bad ones. Fortunately, none of them are so bad that I'd rather leave and requeue than play. Okay, maybe there's one. I think my favorite map is probably Sandy Sunset. This map has a great mix of wide open areas and dense inner city. That's why I think it's so popular. It's just got a little bit of everything for everyone. Contrast this with Lenovo. I actually really like this map, but the larger community is a little bit iffy about it. If you see this map being run, it's almost definitely running the night version of it. Each map in this game has a night version which makes the map darker, forcing you to use night vision goggles or a flashlight. You can't use long range scopes with night vision goggles on, and using a weapon flashlight is like screaming that you're not attracted to minors at a Genshin Impact tournament, immediately causing everyone to descend upon your location. Get him up! Get him up! This forces firefights to happen at much closer ranges, which helps prevent snipers from dominating the match like they would on Lenovo's day version. Aside from on Lenovo, I actually kind of hate the night mode, and I mean, whoever runs the Battlebit Twitter account seems to agree with me, so, you know, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of maps in Battlebit. Bossar is also very popular, and it's not like a bad map, but also this is like the Dust Bowl of Battlebit. It's just one giant choke point. Frugus, or however you pronounce it, is another city map. The reason people don't play this map only at night like Lenovo is because none of the buildings really go over 3 stories tall, so sniping isn't nearly as oppressive. Overall, it's a pretty good map.
Are you prepared for the kind of death you've earned, little man?
I think going forward, the developers should strive to make more maps like Sandy Sunset and less maps like Eduardovo or Dusty Dew. There's a couple other maps in this game where it's just like isolated objectives that are surrounded by forests or plains. They all just kind of blend into each other. Don't do entirely dead cities, don't do entirely open woodlands. Do a little bit of both. Mix them together in interesting ways. Sandy Sunset should be the gold standard. Everybody loves Sandy Sunset. Of the main game modes that are currently in the game, I've already said which one is my favorite. Conquest, all vehicles, big map. There's also Infantry Conquest, which is the same as normal Conquest, but only with transport vehicles. It's fine, I guess. Rush is like this, terminal-based mode. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have an opinion about this one. Frontline, though, easily the worst game mode. This is similar to the Operations game mode from Battlefield 1, where the play space is strictly defined with kill boxes surrounding it. The point of this mode is to completely concentrate the entire match into 1 or 2 points. Strategy, not relevant. Backcapping or taking points to serve as a distraction, don't even think about it. Going with your squad to capture an undersupplied point, impossible. Hopelessly running into a 250 player choke point where someone is always watching every angle because you're all trapped into a 200 by 200 meter large box. Hell yeah, that's the only thing to do!
Oh my god, they're so fire! Go shoot!
There's also a whole bunch of other modes, but they're only on low player count servers, so I don't have much of an opinion about these either. So yeah, Conquest is great. Infantry Conquest is fine. The rest kind of suck. Shit, I guess I'm kind of out of things to say. I don't really know how to end this. Transition flashbang. In conclusion, Battlebit is a game for the most deranged and unhinged individuals. Only the most low-down scoundrel would ever play this. The gunplay is great, the classes are well designed, the vehicles are balanced, and the player base is fruitier than a Stimpy video.
Yes! Oh, yes!
Whoa, Xbox, record that.
I'm still in awe that this game is as good as it is, being made by only 3 people. Look at this game's player count compared to 2042's. It's just embarrassing. You should buy Battlebit because it's only $15, and then you should also buy the Supporter Edition upgrade because the skins are cool and the developers need more money. You know what else you should do? Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You watched this whole video, so I love you, and I'm only telling you this because I love you. Also, like this video or I'll just have to assume you hated it. Guess what else? Join my Discord server, even though that shit is more dead than Ramses II, but I don't care. First 5 people to join the Discord server get to join my Battlebit clan, the Stink Nuggets. Hell yeah! Is that it? Oh yeah, follow me on Twitter.
Is nice living in my new compound on May 2nd, 2011.